I'm Makhdoom Shahabuddin, and you're watching Trending Daily. Tonight's episode connects three storms building around us: one inside our faith, one on our borders, and one across our rivers. First, we expose the Khawarij, the so-called Mujahideen of TTP, who are in reality the dogs of hellfire the Prophet, peace be upon him, warned about. Then we turn to Afghanistan, where the Taliban regime is now threatening to cut off Pakistan's river water, right after shaking hands with India. And finally, we examine how India's own youth, Gen Z, is being silenced while their leaders prepare for Sindoor 2.0, another war doctrine. Let's start with the enemy within, the fitna that hides behind the name of Islam. Ladies and gentlemen, Fitna al-Khawarij Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan TTP, who claims to fight for Islam, but the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, described their kind centuries ago. He said, there will emerge a people who will recite the Quran, but it will not go beyond their throats. Ladies and gentlemen, they quote the Quran, but act against it. They shout Allahu Akbar, but kill those who say it sincerely. This is why the Chief of Army Staff, Field Marshal Asim Munir, calls them what they actually are: the Khawarij of our age. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, they will be young in age and foolish in judgment. Ladies and gentlemen, young boys, brainwashed by self-proclaimed clerics, shouting slogans they barely understand. They pray long, quote verses endlessly, yet have no mercy, no soul, no understanding. The Prophet, peace be upon him, warned that such people will speak the best words, but faith will not go beyond their throats. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said they will kill the Muslims and leave the idol worshippers. Look at the pattern. They bomb mosques, funerals, madrasas, police stations, every symbol of Pakistan's faith and unity. But never do they strike where Islam is truly insulted. Their jihad begins and ends with killing Muslims. This is not Islam, that is fitna, corruption in the name of faith. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said the Khawarij are the dogs of hellfire. He further said, whoever fights them shall be rewarded on the day of judgment. This is not just a military war. It is a prophetic command to protect the Ummah. Pakistan's soldiers who fight them, those martyrs, are fighting this fitna. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the signs the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave, and how every single one of them matches the reality of today's so-called Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said the Khawarij would be young and foolish. Today we see teenage suicide bombers, young, ignorant people brainwashed into believing that they are serving Islam. The Prophet further said that they would say the best of words. The TTP chants Sharia or Shahada, using beautiful slogans to hide their ugly crimes. The Prophet said they would declare other Muslims as disbelievers. The TTP calls Pakistan's soldiers, scholars, and even the civilians kafir, spreading takfir against the very state that protects them. The Prophet said they would kill Muslims and spare the idol worshippers. And that's exactly what they do. They bomb mosques, schools and markets, killing more than 80,000 innocent Pakistanis, yet never raise a hand against real enemies of Islam. And finally, the Prophet, peace be upon him, called them the dogs of hellfire. And that's what our ulama have declared them to be, the Khawarij of this age. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not just opinions. These are facts written in ahadith and now being written in blood. Our fight against them is not just through bullets, it's through belief. Belief that Islam stands for mercy, not murder. That our martyrs are true believers and their killers are the dogs of hell. And as Pakistan bleeds from these Khawarij, our western neighbor, the Taliban regime is preparing to strike Pakistan not with bombs, but this time with dams. Yes, Afghanistan now threatens to cut off Pakistan's water. A new report by India Today reveals that Taliban-ruled Afghanistan has decided to build dams and restrict water flow to Pakistan. The order came directly from their supreme leader, Maulvi Haibatullah Akhundzada, to construct a dam on the river Kunnar as fast as possible. This isn't just a development project, it's a weaponization of water. Ladies and gentlemen, just weeks ago, Afghanistan and Pakistan fought a deadly and a bloody conflict. Hundreds dead on the Afghan side. Now, instead of peace, the Taliban regime is retaliating through water policy. And what's alarming is the timing. This decision came right after Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi visited India, where he met Indian officials. Their joint statement praised the India-Afghanistan Friendship Dam in Herat, built by India, and agreed to cooperate on hydroelectric projects. Translation: Afghanistan and India are now joining hands on water against Pakistan. Viewers, India already suspended the Indus Water Treaty after the Pahalgam false flag in April 2025. Now Afghanistan, following the same playbook, talks about its right to water. Coincidence? Hardly. New Delhi's fingerprints are visible economically, diplomatically, and strategically. By encouraging Kabul to dam the Kunnar River, India not only hurts Pakistan's water supply, but also deepens its influence in the Afghan policy. The Kunnar River joins Pakistan's river Kabul, which feeds into the Indus, the lifeline of our plains, our agriculture, and our economy. If the Taliban proceed with damming it, Pakistan's northwestern regions and Punjab could face major water stress. And what's more, the construction of these dams will be carried out with Indian technical support. This isn't a water project, it's a joint pressure tactic, an economic chokehold wrapped in engineering language. The 21st century war isn't just about borders or bombs, it's about resources. India used trade and diplomacy. Now Afghanistan is using rivers. By calling it our right to water, the Taliban regime echoes India's propaganda, turning natural resources into political leverage. For Pakistan, this means one thing: water security must now become national security. But let's not forget, the same Taliban regime that claims Islamic Brotherhood with Pakistan is now partnering with India, the very country threatening Pakistan with Sindoor 2.0. So, whose Islamic solidarity is this? Or is it just another geopolitical barter, Indian aid in exchange for Afghan pressure on Pakistan? Either way, Pakistan must act swiftly through diplomacy and deterrence before this water war becomes irreversible. What do the people think about this? Could this become another reason for a conflict? Let's go out to the public and hear their pulse. हालिया इंडिया ने पहले बात कही कि हम पाकिस्तान का पानी बंद कर देंगे, इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी को हम ख़त्म कर रहे हैं, और अब इंडिया और अफगानिस्तान की कुर्बतें बढ़ रही हैं तो अफगानिस्तान ने भी अनाउंस कर दिया कि हम डैम बना के पाकिस्तान का पानी बंद करेंगे. क्या कहेंगे इस हवाले से?
सर, पाकिस्तान जो है वो उसको आप ऐसे नहीं कह सकते कि पानी इज़ अ बेसिक नेसेसिटी, और पानी सर्वाइवल के लिए ज़रूरी है, और पानी का किसी के ऊपर कोई हक नहीं है. ये एक नेचुरल वे ऑफ फ्लोटिंग रिवर है. इंडिया ने भी पहले ये हमें वार्न किया था, बट उसमें भी उनको कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस देखने पड़े. तो अगर कोई और उनका लाए या कोई और उनका हमायती अगर ऐसी बात करना चाहता है और ऐसी चीज़ करेगा तो हम उस पर भी उसको जवाब देंगे, जैसे हमने इंडिया को दिया. हम नहीं चाहते, हम एक पीसफुल कंट्री हैं, हम चाहते हैं कि पीसफुली चीज़ों को हल निकले और सोल्यूशंस निकलें. हाँ, अगर कोई इस तरह हमें कोई थ्रेट करेगा या कुछ करेगा तो हमें मुंह तोड़ जवाब भी देना आता है. सबको हमने पहले भी दिए, आगे भी देंगे.
देखें कि अफगानिस्तान चाहता है कि अगर वो अपने आप को तस्लीम शुदा एक हुकूमत यानी कि बनाए तो उसे अपने अंदर भी चीज़ों को तब मिलेगी. अदरवाइज़ पाकिस्तान अभी तक सिर्फ एक रूस ने उन्हें तस्लीम किया या इंडिया ने किसी हद तक उनसे डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशन कायम किए हैं. तो अगर वो चाहता है कि दुनिया उनके साथ डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशन कायम करे तो उनको फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल अपने अंदर भी यानी कि अपने अंदर चीज़ों को ठीक करना पड़ेगा, हाउस इन ऑर्डर लाना पड़ेगा. और दूसरा
तो बहुत से कंट्रीज़ इस तरह की आवाज़ें देते हैं. आपको पहले पता होगा इंडिया ने भी आवाज़ दी थी कि हम पानी रोकेंगे, तो फिर हमने जवाब दिया था. वो आपको ये वाला स्टाइल तो पता होगा हारिस रऊफ का भी. तो इस तरह अब अफगानिस्तान आवाज़ दे रहा है पानी रोकेंगे, तो इंशाल्लाह हम जवाबी कार्रवाई करेंगे, क्योंकि जब हमारे मुल्क पे बात आती है तो हम सारे एक हैं. उस टाइम उसके बाद कोई पार्टी नहीं है, कोई PTI नून लीग पीपल पार्टी नहीं है, फिर हम पाकिस्तानी हैं. और पाकिस्तान के लिए हमारी जान भी हाजिर है। हम सारे इंशाल्लाह साथ हैं और इंशाल्लाह जवाबी कार्रवाई करेंगे इस चीज़ पे हम।
Welcome back to the studios. Let's now look at the Eastern Front, where silence among India's youth is paving the road to Operation Sindoor 2.0. Ladies and gentlemen, India's Gen Z, smart, digital, connected, yet silent. They scroll, they share, but they don't stand up. Because in Modi's India, protest is a prison. In India, during the anti-CAA protests, students were beaten, jailed, and branded as traitors. Since then, a climate of fear has blanketed India's campuses. Freedom of speech now comes with a police report. The most dangerous weapon in today's India isn't the BrahMos missile. It's the word anti-national. Say a word against government policy and you're branded a traitor. Love your job, your college seat, your future. That's how democracy turns into a monologue. And under the RSS ideology, obedience equals patriotism. Disagreement equals treason. Gen Z has grown up under this conditioning. They prefer reposting nationalistic memes over questioning it. That's why, as war clouds gather, India's youth stay mute, afraid, fragmented, and digitally controlled. While youth scrolls, the generals plan. Army Chief Upendra Dwivedi says Operation Sindoor has not ceased. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh calls it just a trailer. They're expanding BrahMos missile production, boasting that every inch of Pakistan is within their range. This is not deterrence, this is declaration. And India's Gen Z's silence fuels it. Because propaganda and passivity are India's strongest weapons. An unchallenged government in Delhi means unchecked aggression on the border. When the Indian public is silenced, Pakistan must be alert, militarily and diplomatically. Three fronts, one reality. The Khawarij who betray Islam from within. The Taliban regime playing politics with Pakistan's rivers. And the Indian establishment silencing its youth while preparing for another war. But amid this chaos, Pakistan's message must remain clear. We seek peace, but not at the cost of sovereignty. We extend friendship, but not at the price of faith. And we forgive, but never forget. May Allah protect this country from fitna, internal and external. And may truth always flow freer than the rivers our enemies try to stop. I'm Makhdoom Shahabuddin signing off. See you next week.